Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. My feet have come too far for you to tie 'em to the ground. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Set my sights on where I'm going at and turn it back around. Can't stop me.
Well, good evening and welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm Aeson Knight, and joining me tonight is Barrett Michael Phillips, who's written a number of books, is doing a lot of classes. What's your newest one?
The newest one is called Movement Feedback Holography, or How to Triple Your Income by Shaking Your Hands. Pretty cool stuff. At least I think so.
Awesome. So how did you get into this? What's your backstory?
Great question, because I never thought I'd be doing anything like this. Oh my gosh. I figured I'd be an engineer my whole life. Because growing up, I was a nerd. I loved Star Trek and Dungeons and Dragons and all that. And when I was in college at MIT, I discovered the internet. And so when I was in grad school at MIT, I figured this is going to be it. And I did some awesome stuff. I'm very proud to be one of many people that literally wrote the code that powers the modern web. And long story short, I left grad school, formed a couple startups with my best friend, and my life cratered. I destroyed my body with overwork. He sold the website company behind my back for millions of dollars and was also secretly dating the woman I was in love with. So by the time I was 3 years out of grad school, I found myself living with my parents on permanent disability and was told by the best doctors that I could never recover. I'd never be out of pain, and I could never go back to work or have a normal life.
Okay.
So that was, devastating. I mean, I started day drinking. I was using drugs. I was suicidal. And, long story short, I had a friend get me into positive thinking.
Okay.
Nowadays, we call it the law of attraction. But back in the 90s, we called it positive thinking. And, I became this gung-ho positive thinking warrior, weekend seminars, power words, mantras, the whole bit. Didn't do anything for me, so I gave up on that.
Okay.
Then I got turned on to alternative medicine. And I thought, hey, with all the pain and problems I have, maybe alternative medicine can fix me. So 5 years running around chasing treatments. I mean, you name it, I tried it. Acupuncture, herbs, cleanses, special diets, Reiki healing, pranic healing, yoga, Pilates. I tried everything.
Okay.
Nothing worked for me.
Okay.
And I ended up having a surgery that left my right arm paralyzed. And that was kind of the lowest point in terms of physicality, because I couldn't drive my car. It was difficult to even just, eat dinner.
Right.
And, again, very long story short, I went to this crazy healer lady named Terry. And she said, well, Brent, your problem is you got a bunch of blocks in your subconscious mind.
Okay.
So she spent an hour doing this subconscious block clearing process with me. And did a healing, and my arm emitted this loud crack.
Okay.
And I could move it again. And I was like, oh my God, it was a real miracle. And that was back in 2003. And that's how I got hooked into this. And, at the time I was like, wow, I got to learn this. And it was also great because it was a job I could do even with all my physical limitations and pain.
Right.
And so I've been doing it, full time now for, this is 20 years. And of course, there's a lot more to the story, but that's the short version.
Okay.
And
what did Terry do? What do you remember back at that point?
What she did was, first, she introduced me to muscle testing, which I'm sure a lot of the listeners have heard about. A lot of modalities use it nowadays. And she said, well, muscle testing allows us to check your subconscious to see what blocks and traumas are held there. And we kind of worked through a bunch of tests, and she identified the blocks and used an energy healing process to clear them.
Interesting.
And, really the way I would frame it is, I see this all as technology, because that's my background. I'm an engineer, a technologist. And I would put self-improvement roughly into 3 generations of self-improvement technology. That the first generation is kind of your law of attraction, positive thinking.
Okay.
Think and Grow Rich, right? Mantras, vision boards, think positively. And it's worth doing, but honestly, most people don't see big shifts from just that.
No.
When The Secret came out, everyone thought, oh, if you just watch The Secret 7 times, you'll make $1 million. It's like, no, that's a load of crap. So, and I got turned on to that. I tried it. It didn't do much for me.
Okay.
Things get really interesting when we go into the second generation.
Okay.
And the biggest changes in the second generation technologies, they have specific processes to work with the subconscious mind.
Okay.
So that would be things like NLP and hypnosis, Psych-K, emotion code, healing code. There's dozens of different modalities that work on the same basis. That we use a machine or muscle testing or something to check for subconscious blocks. And then you have, a meditation or tapping or a machine or something to clear them.
Okay.
And so that's cool stuff. But what I found is the second gen is great because that's when you start to see medical miracles occur.
Right.
For example, with my elbow, I had had a surgery. I woke up, I couldn't move my arm at all. I went to physical therapy. They put me in a CPM machine. I had another surgery. I still couldn't really move my arm.
Right.
Then I went to this crazy healer lady and, she did all this muscle testing and block clearing. And at the end of the hour, my elbow went crack and I could move it again. I was like, oh, wow. So there's certainly something to it.
Right.
But, there's certain things that it's good at and certain things it can't do.
Right.
So it's great with a lot of medical issues. You'll see a lot of instant healings and medical miracles. What it can't do is it can't get you out of your head.
Right.
It can't get you out of the stories that are running your life. And it can't get consciousness back into your body.
Right.
So that there are certain things it's great at, certain things it can't do. And that leads us to the third gen. The way I would describe it would be like, I live in Las Vegas now. If I wanted to go to Tokyo, there's no one technology that will take me there. So I'd probably use at least three. I'd walk to my car, drive to the airport, walk to the airplane, fly on a jet over the Pacific, land in Tokyo, walk out to a cab, drive to the hotel, and walk up to my room, right?
Right.
So we need three technologies: walking, cars, and airplanes. And fixing our lives, it can be kind of like that. We need the right blend of tools.
Okay.
And it's crazy that I thought I had it all figured out when I learned how to do, the healing from Terry.
Right.
And it did a lot for me. It reduced my pain. I got off disability. I was able to start making money. I started dating again. So there was a lot of benefits. But my life blew up again. And 5 years later, when I thought I knew it all, I went through the worst heartbreak of my life and found out that I had hired a financial advisor who wasn't. He was a criminal.
Oh, fun.
And basically, he robbed me blind and also left me $1 million in debt.
Wow.
So, and that was really probably the lowest point of my life. But it's so crazy. That was back in 2008 because it's no joke. The timing was this. On Monday, I declared bankruptcy. On Tuesday, I met the man who became my mentor. His name was Carl. And we had our first movement session, the movement feedback holography. And I didn't think anything was going to happen, right?
Right.
By Thursday night, I had made over $50,000.
That's a lot of books.
I was like, oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
And so what had happened was before I went bankrupt, my dating coach had convinced me to spend my last $500 doing this thing called a movement session with this crazy old guy, right? And he was like, Brent, this is what you need. Carl's the master. If anybody can help you get your life back, it's him. So it was the day after I declared bankruptcy. I met him down by the beach between Venice and Santa Monica. And he had me rent rollerblades. And he then proceeded to have me rollerblade around the parking lot and videotaped it. Then we sat in his truck and played back the tape. And the way I describe it, he just ripped me a new one. It was just all this criticism about everything that was wrong with my energy. And honestly, I was a little upset. I'm like, dude, I remember calling my dating coach when I got home. I'm like, dude, why did you convince me to spend my last $500 on some crazy old coot that just told me how screwed up my life is? I already know that, right? I don't need someone to tell me.
Right.
And I remember he said, Brent, I hear you. It seems weird. He goes, just do this. Give it a few weeks. And if after 2-3 weeks you feel you got nothing out of it, let me know and we'll try to find some way to compensate you. I was like, okay. And it was so funny because the next day I had a radio gig that I had done twice a year for 5 years. followed by a talk at the Bodhi Tree in West Hollywood.
Right.
So anybody that's lived in Los Angeles knows that was the big spiritual bookstore.
Right.
And normally I'd have 5, 10, maybe 20 people show up at my talks. So, it was worth doing, but it's hardly like I was, making tons of money. But for whatever reason, that day, 135 people showed up.
Wow.
In a room that has a maximum capacity of 30. And it was packed in like sardines, shoulder to shoulder. I sold out my next class. I sold everything that I had brought with me, all my books and videos, and filled my session calendar for a month.
Wow.
And I went home and I called my dating coach. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. You were right. That somehow having this crazy old guy videotape me by the beach changed something. And all of a sudden I started making way more money. And it was so bizarre. And long story short, it took me 10 years to figure out what he was doing.
Okay.
But I think I finally got it. And he passed away, unfortunately, about 5 years ago. But before he died, he gave me, I was the only person ever that he gave permission to teach and practice this work.
Cool.
And so it's taken me a while to figure it out and write the book. But now I think, I'm ready. So I'm going out there with a new message, which is, hey, there is another level of self-improvement and spirituality out there. What I call the third generation.
Okay.
And it's intuitive and symbolic. And it's really about understanding the self and getting consciousness back into your body. That, if we look at meditation, most meditations that people do, we don't realize they're just meant for beginners.
Right.
So if you're sitting still with your eyes closed, that's a great way to start. But you can only go so far with that. That the more advanced levels, you got to open your eyes and start moving around. And this third generation work is really a combination of physical movement along with a meditative piece. And when you put the two together, it is, it's a cliche, but it is life-changing. It's the missing piece for many people, especially if you're like me. You've done the seminars and read the books and done all these things. And it's probably about just some benefit to your life, but you haven't seen the big breakthrough.
So what does the engineering side of your brain say about all this?
At first, it totally confused me.
Okay.
Because it's not rational, it's not linear. And it just doesn't fit well in a human brain.
Okay.
But the way I would describe it is this, that a lot of what we call good fortune or luck in life is really about how connected we are to the divine flow. Some people call it your soul path. Some people, me and my mentor called it the quantum field.
Okay.
And you can tell people that are highly connected because they're almost mesmerizing. They will bring you into a trance. You want to watch them. You want to be around them. And one of the crazy things that happened with me and Carl, when I was first working with him, he was leading a retreat in Boston. And we ended up booking the same flight. So we shared a cab to the airport. And we got in the back of the security line. But oh my gosh, it was like the longest line I'd ever seen at LAX. And I'm like, oh, dude, we're going to miss our flight. We're going to miss the retreat and blah, blah, blah. Right. I'm going right down the rabbit hole. And it was like, Brent, don't worry. We haven't missed our flight yet. Let's see what happens. And less than 3 minutes later, lady in TSA uniform comes up to us, looks right at him and says, oh, can I take you on your party through the first class check-in? There's no line there. He was like, oh, thank you. So we went right through and we're walking out to the gate. I'm like, hey, Carl, how did you know her? Because I figured maybe she was one of his students or a friend of the family or something, right? It's like, oh, no, I've never met her in my life. I'm like, what? And he goes, oh, yeah, things like that happen to me all the time. And, the way I would describe it is it's kind of like toothpaste. That when you buy a tube of toothpaste, it's full of toothpaste, right?
Right.
And we all know it's easy to get toothpaste out of the tube. But good luck getting it back in.
Very much.
And when we're born, on our very first day of life, we are full of consciousness. We're totally connected to the divine. But by your second day on earth, we've already started squeezing the toothpaste out of the tube. In other words, the life and stress and all these things that happen to us squeeze the consciousness out of our body. It empties us of this divine life force. And what I found is this movement feedback holography process is the only thing that gets it back in. So the second gen technologies, things like Psych-K, Healing Code, NLP, they're great for a lot of things, but they can't get you out of your head. They can't eliminate your suffering, and they can't make you successful for most people.
For most people.
Right. Just like most people don't get rich from watching The Secret and saying their mantras. Some people do, right? But it's unusual. And it's really about getting back into the divine flow.
Right. It's like The Secret was, rehashed information from the 1942. I can't remember his name. He done this big old presentation, and it's all over YouTube and everything else. But there has to be action with it.
Yes, absolutely. You can't just sit around and watch The Secret and expect money to show up, right?
Right.
And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people did, and that's why it got a bad reputation as being, this doesn't work. Well, it can work, but it's not as simple as we make it.
Right.
Like I will say that becoming enlightened is like playing guitar or learning to surf.
It's practice.
That you can read 1,000 books about surfing, but none of them really helps you that much.
Right.
You got to go get in the water with a board and jump up and fall off a bunch of times, right? And so, high level spirituality and consciousness is the same. There's a lot of trial and error, and there's work required, but the payoffs are tremendous.
Okay. So someone just entering the playing field, where do they start?
Well, the best place for most people is, I have a whole bunch of books I've written, including the brand new one, A Movement Feedback Holography.
Right.
But I would rather you come join me for an experience.
Okay.
So for most people, the simplest way to get started, just head to my website at awakeningdynamics.com. And you'll see right on top, there's a big arrow, says register for the Healathon. It's a live webinar I do. I only do it a few times a year, but there happens to be one this week on Thursday night.
Wonderful. Now,
And
guys,
so
the link is in your show descriptions, and if you're watching the video, it's scanning across there, so you don't even have to click. You can just type it in.
Yep. So just go to the website. If you're watching this in the future, no worries. Just check the website. It'll have the next one. And during the live webinar, I walk everyone through what I call the 7 secrets of higher dimensional living.
Okay.
And we'll cover all the generations because they're all useful.
Right.
We'll talk about the subconscious. We'll do some block clearing processes. We'll show you how to work with the subconscious. But more importantly, I'll also introduce you to the movement of the quantum field work. Okay. We'll do a meditative entrainment, and we'll demonstrate this because it's great to talk about it and it's great to read about it, but ultimately you got to do it.
Right.
Right. Try it, see what happens.
That's an important thing, is doing it, because I teach classes, tarot and different ones, but you've got to get out there and do it. And I always have students look at me and go, okay, how can I get to where I'm like you? Because I came to this class because I've already done readings. But by the third one, I'm dragging my ass. Do you have the same thing in the quantum field? Like you start moving blocks, and then they're, new people are just dragging along. Like, I can't, going through that phase of rebirth, basically.
Yeah. What I find is some people are ready to move into the quantum field right away, but a lot of people aren't. And that's why I offer more than one thing.
Right.
My goal with Awakening Dynamics is to be kind of one-stop shopping for all your metaphysical and spiritual needs.
Right.
That some people really just need to learn how to work with the subconscious.
Yeah.
And the metaphysics is much easier to access and to start working with right away. Okay. So that's why, like on the webinar, I'll teach you how to check yourself for subconscious blocks. It takes about 7 minutes. It's not hard.
Okay.
Now, to learn how to enter the quantum field on your own, that's not a 7-minute process. That's like, 3 days of training and several weeks of practice. So, it's really about where you're at and what you need to move forward. Be like, again, if I wanted to get from my house in Las Vegas to Tokyo, the first step is to walk to my car. Then I drive to the airport. Then I get on a plane, right?
Right.
If I try to skip steps and jump on the plane from my backyard, it doesn't work.
No.
You're
hurting yourself.
Exactly. My goal is to give everyone kind of the overview of what's available. And then for a lot of people, once they've done a little bit of training, then I can work with you one-on-one to give you a more customized solution.
Right.
Like, hey, you need to do this. You need to focus on that, right? Because it is a matter of, it's very much technology. It's putting the pieces to the puzzle together.
Right.
And
now, what's wealth club you got?
The Wealth Club is an event I do once a month.
Okay.
That anyone that signs up from my email list gets the first one for free.
Okay.
And it's meant as a kind of dip your toe in the water to metaphysics,
Okay.
where we're going to show you how to check and clear blocks to money.
Okay.
So it's a great way to get started. And, we've had some people that see big shifts after 1 or 2 wealth clubs, usually not, but sometimes.
Right.
But it's designed it's more the shallow end of the pool.
Okay.
The Heal-a-thon's a little more the middle to the deep end of the pool.
Okay.
Because we're going to cover not only the first and second gen, but also introduce the third gen.
Right.
You'll get to see a little bit of the quantum field and the movement and experience it for yourself.
Right. And guys, if you can access the Heal-a-thon directly on the front page, but if you go over and click over onto the shopping section, is where I'm looking at different things. And guys, these prices are very reasonable. It's not a $3,000 event.
It's important to me that regular people can afford to do all these things.
Right.
I know I'm in the minority nowadays, but I learned from my father, you make things affordable for people and treat them well and they'll come back.
Right.
So,
Very
that's
so. But that's been a big thing within the self-help community. I think I saw a retreat for professionals. Now granted it is for professionals, but it was a $5,000 retreat.
Yeah.
3 days in this cabin somewhere up in New York, and I'm like, one, that is the expense of 2 vacations for me.
Yep.
2, it ain't going to really give me much. And 3, no. I have other plans for a vacation.
I hear you. My dating coach, who I mentioned before,
Mm-hmm.
I worked with him 15 years ago. Now he charges $4,000 for a 3-day seminar and $20,000 for a week-long retreat.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, can regular people afford that? I think not, right?
No.
Right.
No. And people want to go, well, that's what it is. Like, no, it isn't. There comes a point in time when really good things. But you also have a VIP club. Now, is this a Patreon?
No, it's a members program.
Okay.
That basically it's designed mainly to give you reference material and live practice groups.
Okay.
Because one of my beefs with the new age self-improvement world is there's a million places that will take your money, run you through a weekend program, rubber stamp your certificate, and kick you to the street to figure it out.
Right.
That does not work. So I offer a steady stream of very inexpensive live events. We do about 12 to 15 hours of live group trainings and practice groups every month, starting at $37 a month, not per group. So that's designed, it's more of a follow-on, stay in the community, practice, get your questions answered, move you forward.
Right. Figure out.
Yep.
How much difference do you see through people's fields? Like, is it very like this person's field is this way and you've got to work with them that way, or is it very similar?
Usually, I start people with what we call coaching and digging.
Okay.
To kind of understand where they're at and start working with the subconscious. Okay. Typically, I only start doing the quantum field work after you've had a bit of training with me.
Okay.
Because it's kind of like driving a car. Almost all of us can drive a car, right? Most of us have a driver's license. And if you wanted to learn, it's not hard.
Right.
But if you want to drive an F1 race car, that's not something you learn in a few days or in a weekend. That takes years of training. So the quantum field work is a steeper learning curve. It takes longer. But the good news is it's best done in groups. So which is great because it keeps it very affordable.
Right.
So
and it keeps it very usable.
That's right. So yes, typically either one movement session or one-on-one, I'll have a good sense of where you're at, what you need to move forward.
Very interesting.
And so what I'd recommend to people is, explore the Heal-a-thon first, see if you like it, because you know what? I'm not for everyone. Right. I'm intense. I'm impatient. I'm obsessed with the truth.
Right.
I don't care about whether you like me or not. I want to move your life forward, right? That's too much engineering, Brent. But that's how I am. So if you like it, do some training. After that, let's do a one-on-one. And I'll say, hey, this is what you need. Focus on this. Learn this. Do that.
Right. Now,
and give you a roadmap.
That's refreshing because I don't know how many, believe me, if I had the money I spend on classes, I would be like rich. But you get those in there and they're like, well, and that's also how I teach too, is I'm very much like, no, you've got to go and figure out how to look at your swords differently because you're
Yep.
blocking on them, that type of thing. It's working within that area of being very much, this is how it is, this is where it is, let's move forward. We have a lot in our community that does the fluffy bunny teaching, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah, they tell you the same thing over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hello, can I leave? I heard you the first 312 times, right?
Well, none of that, but tell me that before I buy your book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I did T. Harv Eker's one of his weekends like 20 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And people paid $1,000 for a 3-day seminar. 80% of them never read the book. Yeah. I'm like, really? I'm like, I bought the book for $12 and read it. I liked it. I went to the seminar. Most people couldn't be bothered to read the book. I didn't get that, right? Doesn't make sense to me.
I just don't get that one,
Yeah.
And, you've been around. You've got 6 books out, and they are not, he didn't put out a book every 30 days, guys, and I've not read them all. Right. I will clarify, I've not read them all. I did review this one. This one was very, very well written and easy read. It's a weekender. From, most people, for me, it was about 4 hours, but that's also because I speed read a lot of stuff. It'll take you a weekend, but putting it into practice will take you longer.
Of course.
And, building off of that. And this touches everything, not just how to fill your bank account or how to change your business life or how to change your profession. It touches, pain, physical pain, chronic conditions. It touches working within your field to create the reality that you're on, that you want.
Absolutely. And it's important that we recognize, again, you can read 20 books on karate, but if you get into a fight, they're going to hand your ass to you, right?
Right.
That the book is great to get an introduction, see if you're interested to learn more, but then you got to do it. No one got good at anything without a lot of practice and a lot of feedback from a qualified instructor or expert.
Right.
And this is the same. You want to learn to bowl, you want to surf, you want to be a healer, it's all the same.
Right.
And my goal is to use technology and leverage it to make it as cheap and easy as possible. Mm-hmm. My mentor never wrote a single book. It was crazy. He was on Oprah. He was on 2020. Mm-hmm. He says, "Oh, Brent, if I had a book when I went on Oprah, I literally would have made $1 million overnight."
Yeah.
But you just never did that. When you showed up at his event, he just threw you right into an exercise. I like to explain it first. That's kind of one of my gifts.
Yeah.
Is I know how to explain it to modern people to take these very esoteric and weird concepts of metaphysics and spirituality and make it real for you.
Right. And I'm going to say update it.
Sure.
Get into terms we understand in today's modern era.
Of course.
It's kind of like, I don't know, 20 years ago, if I had saw a vision or I had gotten a different idea on something, I would say I've gotten this vision, or, I've been working with my spirit guide and we've been looking at I don't know, the Empress. And she kind of looks like that she has a little bit more flair in the card than what's really being put out there. Well, today's term is, I just had a download. Fine.
Yep.
It's like, that works, I guess. But quantum physics and quantum fields are quite different.
Yes.
It's a much more creative process, understanding that everything out there you influence by your energy.
Yep.
On both sides of your brain, conscious and unconscious. Well, and spiritual.
Yep. And, the thing that I would say is some people achieve genuine awakening by reading the Bible. I couldn't have done it.
No.
I don't know how that's even possible, right? But some people do.
Right.
My goal is to update these old teachings, which are wonderful, with modern language and models and metaphors that everyone can understand and apply, right?
Right.
Exactly.
So let's take a break, and when you come back, we were kind of pre-talking, and I found a thing very interesting, and I thought we'd talk about it a minute.
Sounds great. Looking forward to it.
Hi, I'm Dottie the Psychic, and I'm sure you're wondering why I'm not wearing any makeup. Well, one reason is to irritate my social media manager, Aeson Knight. Hi, Aeson. The other reason is because I like to get to the naked truth about what it means to be a neurodivergent LGBT person with psychic abilities. I've got vlogs, blogs, and podcasts and videos all related to trying to live my best life and helping witches and bitches do the same thing. So, you can check all that out and get a reading from Dottie the Psychic at DOTTIEthepsychic.com. Safe travel and much profit to you.
Do you have a cute pet? We know you do. Each week, Tracy Van chooses from submitted photos a featured reader for her Facebook page and provides a tarot reading. Your adorable pet cat, dog, rabbit, goat, chicken, snake, or more could be her next featured reader. Visit tracyvann.com, TracyBann.com, and click Featured Reader to submit. We look forward to seeing your pet next.
Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here, and I am here to tell you how to get in contact with me and a little bit about what I do. I am the High Priestess that works with shadow work to help you grow and heal. And I work with access bars, Reiki, I do power forms. I'm recently getting into crystal healing, sound therapy as well. So you can go to Lady Gwendolyn Healing, that is LadyGwendolynHealing.com. Book your appointment with me. I do in person, I do over the phone, I do over Zoom. We can do that as well. My main goal is to help you grow and heal, because I've been there, I'm still going through it, and I let my strength help guide you. See you soon.
Hey everybody, Natalie here from The Pendulum's Path. If you are in need of guidance, direction, spiritual connection, healing, or more, you have come to the right place. I have worked as a psychic and a medium for over 3 years, connecting people from all over the world with their loved ones, giving them insight and guidance into their current situations, their past healings, their blockages, and what they need to know in order for them to have a better future. It would be my absolute honor if you would come to my website at www.thependulumspath.com. Visit my shop. I have a whole bunch of crystals, oils, balms, mystery boxes, and more. And visit my services. I offer 15-minute, 30-minute, and 60-minute sessions. I also have email readings available if you're not comfortable with the one-on-one session with me, or if you just want to try me out. I encourage you to come visit me at the Pendulum's Path, and let's get you back on the right track today.
All right, welcome back. Okay, so we were talking about the human body and how it's technically designed to operate on Mars as time wave.
Yeah, it was a fun little fact. You know, I love accumulating these fun little facts in my head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting. One of the wild things about humans is most of us have noticed it's a lot easier to stay up a little later than to go to sleep earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason for that, that the natural circadian rhythm of the human body does not match the 24-hour rotation of the Earth. It's slightly longer. It's like, 10 or 15 minutes over that. But it perfectly matches the rotation of Mars.
Interesting.
So whether that's just a weird cosmic coincidence or means something, I don't know. And it was funny. I told my son about this, and he wrote a little report for school. But he didn't proofread it, and he wrote, "There is strong evidence that humans on Earth originated from the sun." I was like, "Oh, son."
I can't see that. I can see Mars.
Yeah.
Where with this, how's the shaking hands thing work? I mean, if it's simple shaking hands and everybody with Parkinson's,
of course,
and neurological things.
Yep. I don't want to mislead anyone. If all you do is stand in front of a mirror and shake your hands, probably the most likely result is your hands will get tired.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's not going to make you rich. what it is if we look at the name of the book is Movement Feedback Holography.
Mm-hmm.
So what it is one, it's a process of movement. So it's a more advanced meditation where you're moving your body.
Mm-hmm.
What's really going on is the movement is there primarily to help the facilitator read your energy. So it's like a magnifying glass.
Uh-huh.
Right. All of us know, certainly past age 50, it's really hard to read that fine print on your little supplement bottle. So we get a magnifying glass.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't change what's there, but it makes it bigger and easier to see.
Mm-hmm.
So when I mentioned Carl had me rollerblade in circles, that was the movement. Rollerblading is one of the movements.
Okay.
That it exaggerates the energy that you're running on the inside that's creating your life.
Right.
So that's what the movement is for.
Mm-hmm.
Then the feedback is an expert facilitator can read your energy and see the energetic patterns that you're running in your life. For example, some people are keeping it small. Other people are trying to get away from the earth. Other people are out of relationship to their past. There's dozens, hundreds of different myths and stories we run.
Right.
And the goal of the movement is to exaggerate it so that a facilitator can tell you what it is. That's the feedback. The holography, the reason it works is you bring the same you to everything you do.
Uh-huh.
That if you brush your teeth, I could watch that and read your energy. I can do it watching you drive your car, eat dinner with your wife, jogging, playing video games. It doesn't matter. How you do anything is how you do everything, because every part of ourselves and our energy is holographically present in everything we do.
Okay.
So when we put it together, what happens is it's not just the shaking your hands that does the magic.
Right.
There's two more pieces. One is there's a meditative aspect, the quantum field entrainment.
Mm-hmm.
That it's for many people it's a psychedelic-like experience.
Right.
That when you get connected into the quantum field, you'll tend to see energy and auras with your open eyes. You'll see past lives, these sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone does it first, but that's the sort of invisible piece. And you have to be given the feedback. And what happens is when you hear what's really going on in your life, when you're in the right meditative state,
Uh-huh.
the internal mythologies collapse.
Okay.
And this is why I remember the first thing Carl asked me when I showed up. He said, Brent, are you ready to add a 0 to your income? And I was like, what? No, seriously. He goes, yeah, many people do this and they start making 10 times more money. Are you ready for that? And I was like, sure, dude. And I thought it was a come on.
Right.
And, I'll admit, I was a bit of a problem child. I was such a head case. I did not 10x my income. For me, it was more like 3, 4x.
Uh-huh.
Right. But I was okay with that. Right. I still see that as a victory.
Right.
And so it is the magic of the entrainment into the meditative state,
Uh-huh.
along with the feedback of what's really going on. That's the magic.
Right.
And that's why I yelled at my dating coach. I'm like, dude, he didn't do anything to fix me. Why? My brain didn't understand the level that Carl was working at.
Right.
And it only took me 10 years to figure it out. And here's the funny thing. Carl never figured it out. He could just do it.
Uh-huh.
When people would ask him, can you explain to me? He'd laugh and say, call Brent. Only Brent can explain it. I just do it. So that was kind of funny.
Now, do you think that it is because of your past experiences?
I think that's not a coincidence. That, I think it took someone with a high level background in engineering and science to be able to figure this out.
Okay.
I'm not sure, even Carl was a highly intelligent man,
Mm-hmm.
very successful, but he didn't understand it.
Right.
He just knew how to do it.
Right.
He was, for those that are curious, he was a reincarnated Siddha.
Right.
That basically he said, you know what? I knew if I wanted to reach a new group of people, I couldn't just be the Indian guy on the mountaintop again. So he incarnated as a white American guy from upstate New York.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And he didn't realize this. Well, basically he died when he was born, was shown the truth,
Uh-huh.
forgot about it. And when I think he was 17, his Kundalini opened and he realized who he was.
That's early.
Yep. He had an even more radical Kundalini experience 12 years later that left him paralyzed for 3 years.
Okay.
And if you read the literature, there's a lot of stories of this, of the masters, that when they have a radical opening or awakening, they oftentimes have to learn to walk and read and write and how to feed themselves again. And that's exactly what happened to him. I think he was 27, 29. And this is how he healed himself. He learned movement.
Right. Well, it's kind of like I've noticed with psychics, especially psychics, more prevalent in mediums. There's always a physical back issue. There's always an autoimmune disorder.
Yep.
There's always, not so much now, but used to be, a sleeping pattern problem. It's like
I check all the boxes. Yep.
And then there is like some dietary things that I've picked up. Like if psychics would like lay off the processed food because it's terrible for their bodies.
Right. And shuts you down intuitively, of course.
Right. You know, and lay off the sugar. Suddenly those blockages or problems start going away.
Yeah. And Carl had a thing where nobody could sleep in the same room with him. His energy was so powerful that if you tried to sleep within 10 feet of him, you'd be up half the night with nightmares.
Okay.
It was crazy. Yeah. You know, I one time had a hotel room next to him and I tossed and turned all night. It was really weird.
I can understand that. I can understand that. I can understand the theory with that. I can understand the energy polarity going on with that, because there's a different belief system that believes if two people sleep together, then they link their energies up. And if he was a higher vibration than the other person, that's going to be insanity for the brain.
Yep. You know, I'll admit, you know, my wife learned early on it was not good for her to sleep in the same room with me.
Okay.
We tried it for a while, but, you know, it was screwing her up. And we get along really well now. We just can't sleep in the same room together. I mean, once on vacation, sure, sometimes you have to. But yeah, you know, I don't know if I got it from Carl when he died or what, but I have that exact same problem now. It's kind of crazy.
I can see that being an issue. I can see both things occurring there.
I also blow up electronics. I'm sure a lot of psychics do that.
Continuously.
Yeah, I blew up 6 of these infratonic devices. The CEO called me and he's like, Brent, are you a really powerful healer? I'm like, what? Because I just thought they made garbage. He's like, no, our things never break. You've blown up 6 in 8 weeks.
It was
an infratonic device for muscle relaxants to relax muscles.
Okay.
And he's like, this only happened once before, and the guy using them was a master healer. And his field was blowing him up. I'm like, yeah, actually, that's what I do.
One, Brent, get you some hematite. It helps.
Yeah. Yep.
And 2, if you like start having problems, I don't know what Panasonic does. Maybe they cleanse them, whatever. Headsets and all that stuff, Panasonic all the way.
Well, what I found is I learned how to synchronize the electronics to my energy, then it doesn't happen.
Oh, okay.
But you want to be careful. Never synchronize you to them. It'll make you sick.
Yes.
But you take your electronics and I have a process to synchronize them to your energy, and then it stops blowing up. But the hematite, I hadn't heard that. Thank you. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
I have students who struggle with this.
Hematite, and then if they're empathic, hematite on one side of the desk, amethyst on the other side of the desk. I don't care what its shape is, how big it is, whatever. Balances the energy to like at least keep you from blowing things up.
Yeah, I had a collection of like 60 light bulbs I'd blown up over the years. It was kind of fun. I threw it out when I moved, but it's like, hey guys.
So I'm going to ask you as an engineer, when do you think we're going to get the psychic link with technology?
I think it's coming in about 30 years.
30 years?
Yeah, would be my guess. It's hard to say, but that there's no one I'm aware of that's really close right now.
Right.
There might be. I'm not aware of everyone. Right. But when I look at kind of the big picture patterns of how things are moving, we tend to go in cycles and forward and back. I think we're going to see a significant shift in consciousness around 2037 is what I'm seeing. And it'll take us about 15 years to work through that.
Okay.
And by 2070, if we're still on the planet, I think we'll have it figured out.
If we're still on this planet.
Yep. But it's okay. You know, my teachers have told me lots of other planets we can go play on. Don't worry if we blow this one up, you know, we just got to go somewhere else.
Right. Right. And we just got to move around and, change classrooms again. But anyhow,
Yep.
we won't
Again.
get into that,
Yeah.
So what are you working on?
What's that?
What are you working on? What's your next thing?
Right now, I am working on what's called soul personalities.
Okay.
That and this is unpublished right now, but what I
Right.
found is we all have a soul personality in the same way that we have a mind personality.
Okay.
And for example, large companies and governments and the military give you personality assessments when you get a job
Uh-huh.
because they want to understand what you tend to be good and bad at to find a good match for you.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found is we have soul personalities based on our level of consciousness.
Okay.
And the sort of actions and behaviors that will work for you in your life are heavily dependent on where you're at in your soul journey.
Okay.
And the cause that a lot of people have for having their life get screwed up, including me, is I didn't understand that most people in our culture, at least in modern America, are in a victor journey. It's all about bigger, stronger, faster, better, more powerful.
Okay.
But now the leading edge of us are graduating into the vehicle,
Uh-huh.
where it's about learning to let go and connect into the divine flow.
Yeah.
And if you try to live as a victor when you're in a vehicle life, it's going to be a disaster. It does not fit. It's like you show up to play hockey on a soccer field.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to wonder why you keep getting thrown out of the game and losing.
Right.
Well, they changed the rules and no one told you. So that is, in fact, I'm also working on using the meditative process along with music to bring people to peak experiences.
Okay.
To that, enlightenment, total connection.
Mm-hmm.
And, I found I can do it consistently, but only with music. So, it's a very interesting thing.
What type of music?
Mostly symphonic rock. That's what I found is the most powerful.
Okay.
That the combination of the classical, the orchestra, the operatic vocals, along with the power and the energy of rock, there's some magic to it.
Oh, agreed.
That combined with the right.
Yep. That and music, I don't think it's hitting our generations. Yeah.
Okay. And it's unfortunate. Rock and roll didn't die; it just moved to Europe.
Right.
So no worries there.
How they're being harassed here.
Yeah.
Interesting. When's your ETA on that one?
I've done a few events just with some of my advanced students,
Mm-hmm.
and it's pretty amazing the experiences people have.
Cool.
But that's more of a down the road thing. It's not something I would feel comfortable bringing someone in off the street for.
Right.
Because it's it's a great state of vulnerability to be in that kind of consciousness.
Interesting.
You have to be very careful about what you expose yourself to.
Right. And that can be complicated at itself. Is also what's your, as the instructor on this, what's your feedback? Because we all know that, if you're going one way, it's coming back at you another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I would say is that one of the sayings my mentor was fond of was all feedback is love.
Mm-hmm.
So every experience you have is loving feedback from the universe.
Uh-huh.
Every ache and pain you have in your body, every mistake, every accident.
Uh-huh.
And so if we can take a big picture view, you'll find that the whole world is literally trying to support you and move you forward.
Okay.
But we get so distorted in our thinking because we're caught up in all these mythologies.
Right.
And, like I mentioned, that I don't see how people find awakening or enlightenment by reading the Bible, but some people do.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly they get caught up in these old mythologies of heaven and hell.
Right.
And there was about 1,000 years in Europe where religion ruled the world.
Mm-hmm.
We call it the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
So all of us, especially the old souls,
Mm-hmm.
that typically, most people that come to me for the advanced training, they've usually had at least 200, often 400 plus lifetimes on Earth.
Uh-huh.
And the old souls were full of this stuff.
Right.
All these old ideas and stories. And it's difficult because you're not aware of them, right?
Right.
That one of the big things holding me back was in a past life, I betrayed my guru and took his idea and used it to get rich. And it wasn't until I could identify and clear that curse, it took me like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go to literally a guy that lives on a mountaintop in India
Okay.
And that's what it took for me to clear this thing. And even that took a year and a half after I found him.
Right.
But it's just all this crazy old stuff. And, I would say the most important thing, if you really want to move your life forward quickly, be ready to let go of a lot of what you think you know.
Right.
Because the truth is like a parking space at the mall. If there's a motorcycle in it, you can't get your car there. Right.
Right.
So we're full of all these small and medium-sized truths. We have to be willing to let go of them to let the bigger truth come in to make space for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the hardest thing for most people.
I mean,
Yes.
It's like another show I host. I was talking to an advisor in chat, and she's like, "It's no big deal here. We don't have control of the church. The church doesn't have control of the government. It's not a thing." And I'm like, okay. So, and she's just like, you just do A, B, C, and it's like done. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. So yeah, we're already seeing this in Europe. We're seeing this across, it's always been in Asia and everywhere else. It's kind of like for the US, we're a little bit behind the train. Like we're sometimes the struggle bus on letting go of things.
It's what my mentor used to say, and I agreed with this, that in general, parts of Europe and Asia have a higher consciousness than America.
Yeah.
For sure. Not everyone all the time.
Yeah.
But you can see it in the culture, how people treat each other, crime and violence and other things.
Mm-hmm.
That at the end of the day, it's simple. There is no problem in this world that can resist people of higher consciousness working together.
Right.
Period.
And clear conversations.
Yep. If we work together, we're willing to make common cause, make sacrifices for the whole, that pretty much every single problem we have in the world has already been solved.
Right.
Free energy is out there, right? Cures for diseases are out there.
Right.
But we just lack the belief systems and the political will to put them into practice.
And also finding what I call the bridge. I'm not talking Scientology, calm down yourselves, where you have medical professionals and multiple modality healers working together.
Absolutely.
Clear common science.
They do it in parts of China. They have hospitals where this wing does conventional medicine. They send you for an X-ray and MRI, and this wing does acupuncture and herbs.
Right.
And, I think I'm at least one little piece of that bridge.
Yeah.
I'm here to go, hey, not all New Agers are idiots or lack education, right? I got more academic credentials than almost anyone on the frickin' planet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, this stuff is real. It works.
Right.
But you have to watch out for all the New Age fluff and nonsense, because there's a lot of that too.
There's a lot of that, and I really wish it would fall out of the community. Like, this was cute when we had to softly introduce in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, beta version. Not Gen 1, but beta version.
Right.
The fluff was cute. It would be nice to go away.
It would, wouldn't it? And there's nothing wrong with being an overweight middle-aged woman covered in crystals and ropes. Some of those people are my best friends.
Right.
But we need to get past that. That's why Carl came as a white American guy from upstate New York.
Right.
There was just a certain audience that would not listen to a dark-skinned man from India.
No.
No matter how good your message, especially back in the 70s when he had, his big spiritual awakening and started doing this work.
Right.
He kind of had to, right?
Right.
Yep.
Well, how's the elbow?
My elbow hasn't given me a problem in almost 20 years. We are the 20th anniversary of my elbow surgery is coming up on February 3rd.
Okay.
So, I'm going to do a little ritual that day of gratitude.
Very cool.
Thanking my arm for freezing, thanking Terry for bringing the solution to me. And,
And do you've had, his arm is just one piece of his story.
That's right.
Go and check out all the rest that he's gone through, because I don't know, I think on the other side, when we planned this out, we all kind of sat down with a couple boxes of one, said, oh, this will be an easy vacation.
Yeah.
But what has been your one other than your mentors and your team you work with, what is one person you look to in today's publishing? Like, you will grab their stuff and then go for it.
Yeah, I'd say Michael Singer.
Michael Singer.
If I had to pick one. Yep. My favorite book of his is called The Surrender Experiment. And I love it because the way I would put it is 99.9% of religion and New Age is about getting people to awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Singer actually addresses those that have gone through the awakening, and now what? How do we live in this new energy?
Right. How do we deal
So
with
I'm a huge fan of his work. I've read everything he's written like 4 times.
Okay. And the other one there is, what is one experience that you've not written about? And you've written about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You think would get people focus?
One thing that I've only mentioned this for the first time in my new book, that the movie and the TV show Limitless were they were written by one of my mentor students.
Interesting.
But he turned it into a magic pill because the general movie-going public isn't ready for some spiritual master that teaches you meditation and movement to change your life.
Right.
But that was one of his students that experienced his own life changes from doing this exact work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it came to. So, and this is, many people don't realize this is what was hidden in the ancient mystery schools, this quantum field work.
True. Very true. A lot of this was hidden and continues to be hidden.
Yep. Continues to be.
The opening of The Secret is really truthful. All right, guys. His book is up on Amazon. It is available. There it's links. Go check out Awakening Dynamics. And it's spelled just like it says, .com. And when is your class? It's next weekend, right?
I have a live webinar this Thursday evening. So if you're watching this live or the day it comes out, just head to my website. You'll see a big arrow, just putting your name, and we got you covered. Show up, and I will give you a guided tour of all 7 tools of higher dimensional living. And after that, I'm also going to be doing a Q&A and offering free healings to everybody that shows up.
Very cool. Well,
so I think it's a no-brainer. Don't miss it.
Yeah, don't miss it. Thank you for joining us. And come
it's been
back
great to be
when
here.
Next product comes out, okay?
That would be amazing. I'd love to.
Awesome. All right, darling. You have a great evening.
Thank you.
Welcome back, goblins! My name is Jason, and I am the host of the Esoteric Book Club, a podcast that examines titles on the magical, paranormal, the mysterious, and the strange. I release 2 episodes a month in which I review books on esoteric topics, recap news of the weird, and conduct interviews with authors, practitioners, and experiencers. The Esoteric Book Club can be found on every major podcast service or can be streamed directly from esotericbookclub.org.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I provide a blended reading consisting of mediumship, psychic, and tarot cards. A reading from me can cover any guidance you need from relationships with your partner or your family, spiritual, financial, any questions you may need clarity on. If you would like to book an appointment with me, check out my website, tracyvann.com. That's TracyVann.com. I have bookings from 15 to 60 minutes you may choose from. That helps if you just have a quick question, need an answer, or if you're looking for a reading in more depth, I'm here to provide the guidance and clarity for you. Let's just figure it out. Bye.
Hi, Techie Joe here. I work with Aeson Knight and some of the best psychics in West Virginia to create amazing live streams and podcasts for the Psychic Coffee Shop Network. Together, we brew up great content discussing news, events, hot topics, and more, all from a psychic perspective. On the Psychic Coffee Shop, we interview amazing authors in the metaphysical realm. Coffee and Tea combines Aeson with Tracy, Dottie, Natalie, or Lady Gwendolyn for the good and the bad of being a psychic. Shameless Self-Promotion with Dottie the Psychic talks to leading and emerging YouTubers and business owners in our community. Mountain Bears brings you the latest in LGBT news and politics. The Psychic That Plans answers the question of, well, how a psychic plans. Plus, we're live on air. We take your comments and your questions, including psychic advice questions. Check out our amazing programming, book an appointment with top psychics, and find out all the wonderful things we have to offer at PCSBnetwork.com today.
Hi, I'm Aeson Knight. I provide tarot readings covering everything from love and relationships to your life questions and your most spiritual answers. And also, I provide a lot of guidance in finances and divorces and all those relationship problems. So, if you'd like to get a reading from me privately, not on air, you can feel free to do so by visiting aesonknight.com and booking your appointment. I also provide on-demand services, so if your life is a little chaotic, you can go ahead and click that call now button there on my site, right, for a quick answer question. All right, guys, back to the show. Enjoy. Well, welcome back. Hello, Joe darling. Lovely to see you on your feet. How are you?
Doing okay. I had posted earlier today in Reddit and then kind of walked away.
Okay.
So I currently have a 0 rating on that post.
How do you have a 0 rating on that post? I've upvoted you.
Well, you get a 0 rating when you have just as many upvotes as downvotes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've at least created a hot topic, I would say.
Well, yeah. You have.
In terms of I've at least got people going. So there's that. But yeah. Oh, but anywho, so I've been replying to some comments because some people were getting really hung up on my word choices and such. And see, but if I give you the link, then you get to see my actual Reddit profile, and that's all over the place.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Sorry, I'm using my.
You will post the article into the page. I will post the article into the Patreon for him.
Okay. But yeah.
Yeah.
So no, it apparently has been kind of busy today. So
yes,
I was
super busy.
Mm-hmm.
But me and you are working on an article, and I thought we would talk about the article. It'll probably come out next month. And it was the one on timing and psychic theory. How me and Google Maps get along. What? The one about time and how time doesn't exist on the psychic plane, and you know what a psychic actually does. And
got you now. Sorry, I was having a moment. I was like, what? The Google Maps threw me, and then I got it.
Yeah.
Yay. So yeah, that'll be very fun.
Yeah, we've been working on that. You've been working on graphics.
Oh yes, been working on some graphics. Apparently after you'd already made graphics, so I was kind of like, well, shit. One more thing I could have knocked off my list because it doesn't matter anymore.
It does matter. I told you I was going to make placement listings.
Oh, well, yeah, but I still had that moment when I came back there where I was like, oh, come on! We just talked about that. Well, no, it's just been one of those days. I unfortunately did have a task slip through the cracks. While we were down, and by the time it popped back in, it didn't matter anymore, and I felt really bad for that client who is totally cool and understanding and is like, it's okay,
right,
no worries,
right,
like just glad we're doing better and all that.
Yeah.
So
but that article will come out, but no, I'm actually going to update my description of what it's like being psychic. Instead of watching a video on fast forward, apparently nobody understands what a VCR is anymore. So my view of that. So that'll be coming out. Cool. We've been doing a lot of article postings. I've read a few here lately. It's getting kind of scary. Might have to do like have you collect them up and see if we can't create a book.
Hey, you know.
But I thought we would go into, since you were bright and early this morning with Are You an Asshole?
Okay. Oh, yes, I was, because I saw one and I was like, oh, we're doing that one.
Yeah. So let me get the poll up while
Okay.
you're reading.
Crap, I hate when that happens. There we go. Sorry, I've got like way too many windows open. And I just slapped something over to the far right of my screen.
Mm-hmm.
And then it showed me for the other half of the screen the giant kerfluffle of options, the array of things that, and I'm sitting here trying to find us somewhere in that.
Right.
It's like, oh god. Oh, was that it? Oh, that's your relationship advice. I'm sorry. I'm just so unprepared tonight. It's just not. All right.
Here, where did you put it?
I put it in coffee shop on Slack.
I'm looking in coffee shop. Oh, never mind. Just never mind.
Never mind. We lost that one. That one went bye-bye.
No, it's not that it went bye-bye. It's that it's in the coffee shop on Slack and not PCSP Network on Slack.
I'm sorry.
Right? Wrong?
No, I put it in coffee shop, but when I clicked it, unfortunately, it says, sorry, this post was deleted by the person who originally posted it.
Oh, so I guess they were ruled the asshole.
Yeah, or we're feeling quite about maybe I shouldn't have said that. Like,
ooh, here's one that's going to be useful. Coming to you direct.
Okay.
There you go.
Like, I gotta say, this is a big struggle for doing the show.
Mm-hmm.
Is like using like the am I the asshole? Like, I know y'all gotta get annoyed that we're like sitting here sometimes, like we've had to do tonight, and like just go find one. But this is what happens: is if I start early,
we are going to start fucking screenshotting. That's all.
I know we're gonna have to. Oh yes, hey Jessica, we're doing pretty good. We're. I think he's closer to fully back up to speed. I'm still like, I'm hovering around 85, 90%.
I'm not at 100%. I'm streaming at 4K. We're working on the 8K. Once we get there, it'll be perfectly fine.
Awesome. But yeah, no. But this morning I found a great one and it was awesome and I was there for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I even replied and everything.
Right.
And I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, let's go for this one because the season is coming upon us.
Yes, it is. It's Bridezilla season.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's about to be. Am I the asshole if I don't go to all my sister's wedding festivities? My sister, 24, and I, 39, aren't that close. I moved out of the home when she was a toddler, and neither of us have worked to maintain a close relationship. My mom thinks we are closer than we are, and we are complete opposites. I'm more antisocial and introverted. She's more social butterfly and obnoxious. She drinks. I don't. We have very different interests and friend circles. Anyways, she originally wasn't going to have me in her party. Great. But my mom made a big deal since we have a small family, and so now I am. Her friends are all the same age as her, and I don't know any of them. I'm already not going to her bachelorette cabin weekend, but am going dress shopping this weekend. I declined lunch after because they'll also probably be drinking, and it's just not my thing. Plus, they are much younger, and I have nothing in common with any of them, so I'd be paying for a meal I don't even want and won't enjoy myself. Well, now it's a big deal, and my mom is livid with me. She says, I'm unsupportive and stubborn. It seems because it's my sister's wedding, she should get whatever she wants with no regard for my time. I find my sister very entitled and spoiled. She finds me negative and boring. The age gap maturity is the big thing that divides us. She's having a few dress shopping days, a social to fundraise. This is a thing where we live so couples can avoid paying for their own damn wedding. A bachelorette weekend, a wedding shower, and a big wedding. Am I the asshole for picking and choosing which festivities I don't want to attend for her wedding? Oh, see, I'm two minds on this one.
Go for it.
Okay. First part of me says, I understand you completely. This is some wedding bullshit nonsense, and I don't know, why can't we all just go to the courthouse and be done with this shit? Like, who in the hell decided it should be everyone's dream and everyone's privilege and everyone's whatever to do the great big giant massive soul-sucking process of massive wedding production? That's me personally. That's where I'm at. I agree with you. I'm there.
Well, see, here's the thing, and this has gotten to be too much, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I'm sitting here going, the only thing she could add is like a destination wedding, and then like, minimum gift $4,000.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so we have multiple dress shopping days. What? You should know what you want as your wedding dress. Hire a tailor to do it and be done with this. Okay, then we have a luncheon afterwards. Then a fundraising. What the hell are you doing fundraising for? If you cannot afford, bullshit.
Well, yeah, and
no. Fundraising a charity, yes. Fundraising a cause, yes. Fundraising something that is very important, yes. Fundraising your wedding, I do not understand. Okay? Especially when you are doing a girls' weekend, 3 days, bachelorette party. The strippers will be tired. Okay? A wedding shower? Okay, can we get done with this showering things? I don't understand that either. Okay, you either have a bachelorette party or you have a wedding shower. One of the two, and it depends on how secure you are in your relationship.
And I'm just the weirdo that thinks that if you're having a wedding shower, you're knocked up before the wedding, and you just combine the bachelorette party and a wedding and a baby shower.
Right.
So I'm totally messed up over here. Like, I'm sitting here going, what?
Right.
Yeah, no. So part of me gets it, and I'm there, and I don't know, maybe it's part of being in the, out of your 20s crowd. Is that, no, at this point, like, I'm just at, like, go to the courthouse, sign some paperwork, be done with this.
Right.
Like much more than that, I'm gonna be hard pressed for. Like, like I would be in the same boat as the wedding attendee OP for my own wedding. That's where I'd be right now.
Right.
Now part of me also goes, but this is the thing. Like, weddings can be, and often are, big, massive social events.
Right.
Highly social, very, very socially in obligating, and very, very socially competing to, like, who has more stuff and who has more things and who has more blah, blah, blah. And it can, in some instances, also be sort of like, I don't know, a bit of a business card, if you will, of, like, cementing social connections.
Right.
As in, it does kind of become a business, sort of transactional at a level.
Right.
And it is for many people, like if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. Like if you're part of the wedding party, especially.
Well, and here's the bigger thing. Why is the sister forced to be in the wedding party?
And that's where this all goes wrong for me, is mom should have kept her fucking mouth shut.
Well, whose wedding is it?
Alone.
Whose wedding is it?
I think that is the $64,000 question of every damn wedding on the planet. Is whose fucking wedding is it?
Right.
Is it dad's wedding? Is it mom's wedding? Is it the in-laws' dad's wedding? Is it the in-laws' mom's wedding? Is it the groom's wedding? Is it the bride's wedding? Whose wedding is it?
Yeah. Now, I get weddings are 3 days long. Get it. Understand it. Expect it. But all this other
This is like
2 weeks of shit is ridiculous.
This sounds like 3 months.
Yeah.
Like just wedding festivities in like a weird, like if weddings were a vacation, like just take 3 months off of work and plan a wedding.
No. Weddings are 3 days long. You have the bachelorette, bachelor party the first night. You have the rehearsal the second night, and you have the wedding the third night. If you're around for the fourth night, you better be like wearing a hand fastening cord. Otherwise, you're stepped in too damn far. Back your ass up.
Yeah. Well, Shannon says, I think it's a cultural thing in some instances, too. If it's a cultural event with the wedding, her not going could be a major no-no. And that's possible. Like, as in, this may be why mom stepped in and went, oh, no, you don't. You will not bring shame into my household with this. You must include yourself. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying it's possible. I'm just saying it's possible.
Right. Well, let's one, you're not the asshole. 2, I would say you get 2 days. You get 3 days. 3 days, 3 hours. You know the color of the dress you want me in. You know the style of dress you're putting your bridesmaids in. Why do I need to be there unless it's for a fitting? Oh, by the way, I have my own tailor who knows my body. We are done here.
Right. Well, I'm going to be the weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go, you're the asshole.
Okay.
I'm not, well, and this is also partly everyone's shitty here.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to go with you're the asshole simply because you knew you wanted no part of this.
Right.
Your sister knew you wanted no part of this and was good with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why she didn't invite you to be a part of this.
Right.
Your mom forced you into this, which I don't know how you do that to a 39-year-old adult, but you knew better.
You throw a messy fit, and the daughter thinks that the daughter thinks you have to eat. Now, if you guys want to do the poll, here is the poll. I will go ahead and post it for those watching on Facebook. We do polls over on YouTube. While you're over there, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel because it is a steadier stream.
Yes.
All right.
Now, I have to go with you're the asshole. You knew better.
I go with you are not the asshole. Matter of fact, you should revolt from all of it and take your 3 days and do something else.
I love it, Shannon. I love it. I love it. Look, if your wedding doesn't have some overtones of the Hangover franchise, are you really doing it right?
True.
Oh, see, no, like I will watch the Hangover movies.
Uh-huh.
I will watch them. They are great comedy. Don't get me wrong. That is my worst nightmare.
Okay, you'll have to explain because this apparently came out after I abandoned television.
Basically, it is a franchise of movies, a series of movies that all revolve around, like, you go out drinking and then the next morning you have to piece together what the hell you did last night to get into the situation you are currently in.
Okay, so this is the reverse of Scream. Actually, this is the precursor to Scream. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
No, actually, a better movie, I don't know if you've seen it either, is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Nope.
I think that's really what started the Hangover franchise.
Uh-huh.
I had a friend in college. He dearly, and I mean dearly, loved that movie and basically based his life on that. That was the downside to this friend, is he commonly woke up in the morning and had no clue what he did last night. Had to piece it together to see if he could, not get arrested that day.
Right.
He was a great friend, but a horrible person to go drinking with.
Right. All right. Let's move on to relationship advice before it disappears.
All right. I, 27 female, hate my boyfriend's 33 male lifestyle. I don't want this to be a deal breaker after almost 2 years together, but it is really starting to bother me, and it's embarrassing. When I first met my boyfriend, he was going out almost nightly with his friends and partying. It didn't bother me at the time, and when we got serious, he basically stopped partying so hard. He'd still go out with his friends, but it wasn't him getting blackout drunk and being an asshole, as far as I knew anyway. But then it started again. I don't care that he goes out. I care that he goes out and gets sloppy, that he's crossed some serious boundaries in our relationship by giving women at the bar his phone number and texting them flirty things, and then getting so drunk he pukes on himself and passes out in his car because he's too drunk to even call himself an Uber. At this point, it's causing a lot of tension when he goes out. I tense up every time he tells me that he's going out with the guys. I've tried compromising by asking him to come home at a reasonable time instead of waking up myself and our dogs when he stumbles in at 3 a.m. He always agrees to a reasonable time, but never ever sticks to it. I don't know what he is actually doing when he blacks out, and it's getting to the point where I'm just so fucking disgusted. I don't want to deal with this. I cannot understand why, at 33, he can't get his shit together and can't come home at a reasonable time, or, I don't know, not get blackout drunk when he goes out. It's embarrassing for him and for me, even though I'm not there with him. Then, if I say anything, he gets nasty and bitches at me that I just don't want him out with his friends, and I'm controlling. And I'm not his mom. I literally just don't want him getting so drunk that he pukes on himself and sleeps in his car instead of not getting that drunk in the first place. Additionally, he always says, quote, "It was just 2 drinks," every time, and still will drive home because he's not that drunk. He works for the government and could literally lose everything if he got pulled over with a DUI, but he thinks he knows better than everyone and is above the law. I don't know what to do. I don't necessarily want to end things, but I'm at my breaking point. I don't know how to get through to him that this lifestyle is gross, and I would never consider him father material if this continues. But I can't bring it up without starting a fight because he feels like I'm telling him what he can't do.
And it's causing him to do more because you've already stepped into mom territory.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I got 2 answers for this one, too.
Okay. Well, let's hear yours, and then we'll go there.
Okay. My first answer is what he needs is an intervention, and you don't sound like you're ready to do that, as in you're beyond intervention. Like, you need full halt.
Yeah.
Moreover, like, you're not really even ready per se to give the ultimatum of get your shit together or I'm done.
Right.
Like, you're trying to walk the line. You have very valid problems in this relationship. You have very valid things to sit here, even if this is the lifestyle he chooses.
Right.
He's choosing this over you, and you can either live with that or you can't. And it sounds very much like you can't.
Right.
But you're stuck in this, I'm going to fix it.
Right.
Stop trying to fix it. Don't fix it. I'm sorry, you knew parts of this when you got together with him.
Mm-hmm.
Men are not clearance items at Hobby Lobby that you bring home for a project to make them into the perfect man.
Right.
No partner is. Like, I don't care if they're male or female or whatever their gender may be. People are people.
Mm-hmm.
They are not Hobby Lobby projects from the clearance rack.
Right.
If you feel that's where you have ended up, you have already fucked up.
Right. Now, this is a problem of when he goes out with the guys. You know it's a problem. So you have a few options here.
Mm-hmm.
One, he's not. If he's going out with guys to go, fine, but you got to take an Uber. You can Uber yourself back. 2, get the fuck away. 3, don't ever tell a man be home by 3. That's being a mother.
Mm-hmm.
I don't tell my partners, well, you got to be home by here. You got to be home by here. I will say, I need you home by X because of Y.
Mm-hmm. Although one time you did, but that's a whole different story. We are not ever getting into on this show.
No.
But you did do it one time. You must be home by midnight. I will never forget it.
Right.
It is the only time you've ever done it. It pissed me off to no end. And by the end of that evening, I couldn't have cared less because that evening had gone so sideways.
Right.
It no longer mattered.
Well,
and it more so overall was I think were it wasn't that you were getting this nice clear image of you need to not go out tonight because of X.
Uh-huh.
More so, like, I don't know, the spidey senses were tingling and it was just like, I don't know what the hell's about to happen tonight, but it ain't gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, maybe if I can get him to get home by midnight.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't be that bad.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Well, and this is one of those things that, looking back at it now, I immediately got angry about the plan. Like, it was a, fuck no. If you're going to do that, I want you X by X. Because at the time, and still today, I don't have the ability to tell either one of my partners, you are not doing that.
Well, I think I told you when we got together, like, you can try. You can try.
I know.
But I'll just tell you right now, I like, and I'll tell all y'all right now, there's this thing with me. Sometimes the worst thing you can do with me is tell me you can't do that.
Right.
We were good till you said those words. We were good till you said those words.
Right.
Because I will prove you wrong.
But, there are things, and there are situations like this show. If Joe wants to go and take off and go to Princeton, and I don't know, go to Badlands Creek, and where the hell ever he wants to go, that's fine. I need you by 7:30. You can do whatever you want, but I need you by this time, is my normal comment.
Yeah. And if that's not going to be possible, I'm usually like, honey, there's no hope.
Right.
Like, and usually the way this occurs is we're having a pre-discussion is like, okay, but I need you home by 7:30, and there have been some times it's been like, that ain't happening.
Right.
Or I can't guarantee that.
Right.
Like, and some of this happens, and it's nothing nefarious. It's not like I'm going out clubbing.
Right.
It's like literally I'm taking, like my great nephew to a doctor's appointment at 3.
Mm-hmm.
And more than likely, okay, his mom's gonna have to go grocery shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, there's no way in hell
Mm-hmm.
I can, take him to an appointment that isn't going to be done till 4.
Mm-hmm.
Take her grocery shopping, drive them 30 minutes back home, and then do the hour-and-a-half trip up here.
Right.
Like, time don't work like that, honey. At best,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be back here at 8:30.
Right. But I'm saying for pleasure events, which this is a pleasure event.
Oh, Brenda's with me.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have a few options here. One, if your problem is he's drinking and driving, then make an agreement. If he's going out with the boys, to take an Uber.
Mm-hmm.
And pre-schedule an Uber to pick him up and take him.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the more modern, safer way to do things. Two, if this isn't all the time, this is like 3 times a year, what's your problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if we're talking 3 times a week, that's a problem. That's a serious problem.
Right.
If we're down to, like, he does this a couple of times a month, he does this
Right.
a couple of times every 6 months, he does this a couple of times a year.
Right.
It's not beloved behavior, but at the same time, it's within a realm that it's like,
Right.
tolerated. It could be tolerable.
Right.
But no, this sounds like this is every single opportunity.
No. Because OP followed up that how many times a week is he going out with the guys? 1 to 2.
Yeah. Well, still 1 to 2.
Yeah.
Like, that's a fair amount of this she's having to put up with.
Exactly. So it is time to abandon. If you cannot fix the ship, you abandon the ship and find a better ship.
Mm-hmm.
You can't fix this behavior. This is him just dealing with it. Him being stuck at college level behavior. And it's not working for you.
No. Well, and moreover, it's not working for either of you.
Right.
Like, I will promise you, there is someone out there that is, exactly like your boyfriend,
mm-hmm.
but doesn't do this.
Right.
And for him, there's some girl out there
mm-hmm.
who will love this.
Right.
And is there for it. And
mm-hmm.
is like, or it doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
Right.
Not, go out, go drink, and go embarrass yourself. I don't give a shit.
Right. The other part of that is looking at the age. The age is 33. This is the behavior of an 18 to 29-year-old.
Well, keep it legal. This is college frat boy behavior.
Right. So that's where he peaked at.
Yeah. Well, that's where he's stuck at. It may not be where he's peaked at, but it's definitely where he's stuck at.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's abandoned project. Because you shouldn't have brought your glue and your sticks to the party. He is a friendser. That is a type of boyfriend that, you are more... You need to be agreeable to all his friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
All right. So, with that, let's go see if you're the asshole this week, Joe.
Am I the asshole? I'm not the asshole. No, on that one, I might be the asshole.
In the poll, and no, again, you are not the asshole.
Yes, I think they're just voting for me personally and not the... Like, you phrased it in a way, they just can't do it.
Yeah. All right, guys. So the gallery readings are up. Gallery is $10 for the event. The tickets are up. It is limited to 20 people. If you're a Patreon, you're getting in free. And then we have Psychic Saturday back, the last Saturday of the month. The event is up. Go check it out. Baristas, we are having a station meeting January 31st at 6 p.m. We had barista chat tonight. It was very interesting. Thank you, Shannon, for reminding us. But we will have a station meeting to talk about the station on the 31st. With that, take it away, Vanna.
Let's get that one up. And there we go. There it is. Oh, sorry. We hit it at the same time. I apologize. All right, so of course we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Dottie the Psychic, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, and Devin. If you'd like to learn more about how you can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Tell me the deck is stacked. You can whisper behind my back. You can show me how the odds are up against me all day long. But I've been through the fire and come out alive, and there's no more fear in my eyes. Oh, now I'm rising, and you can't bring me down. You can't stop me now.